Hi, folks. Welcome in Settlers Racing KQEG TV. I'm Dan Dyker. Coming off another fantastic racing weekend, both this time at Mississippi Thunder Speedway and the LaCrosse Speedway as the regular season opener got underway on Saturday night. I want to thank you for joining us in the program as we do each and every week. We give you racing recaps. Going to kind of extend the show this week. We'll give you a LaCrosse Speedway recap, and we have a guest in studio today. Third segment, a racing recap from Mississippi Thunder Speedway, and one more guest that we taped during the car show for MTS earlier this year. Let's get right into it. LaCrosse Fairgrounds Speedway. The weather was fantastic. The car racing was fantastic. And so was the fan base. We're going to start things off with the LaCrosse late models. And these NASCAR drivers came chomping at the bit on Saturday night. A lot of back and forth racing going on at Jeremy Wagner, Harley Jankowski, Brad Powell. We saw those three drivers kind of mixing it up pretty much all the way through this race until a couple of cautions came out. And, well, what can you say? Steve Carlson did it again, starting towards the middle of the pack. He used a couple of cautions to jump to the outside and got the race pass over Mike Carlson, who then drifted backwards, but then working his way through the field was Harley Jankowski. Another second great performance for the number 8 car this year. And the 18 of Jeremy Wagner was consistently number 4 all the way through the night. You see Carlson, he's going to come through and get his second checkered flag win of the 2015 racing season. Harley Jankowski held on for the second spot. Jeremy Wagner took third. Adam Degenhart was fourth, and Sean Paff, who's gone back to his number 3 from the 90s, ends up rounding out the top 5. To the Sportsman we go, and this is going to be a very entertaining class. We've told you that for the first couple of weeks of this racing program. This is just going to be one of those races where anybody can pick up a win because of some of these rule changes. But when it came down to it, getting a sweep with a heat race win and the feature race, celebrating his 20th year of racing at the LaCrosse Fairgrounds Speedway, was none other than Jimmy Crackhorn Gilster of West Salem. He did get a late race charge here. Nick Clements in the Kachow number 8, who won the first feature of 2015. After that 2-8 break, you see, he was trying to chase down Jimmy Gilster as much as he could, but there was no way Jimmy was going to back off the accelerator as those two made this a 1-2 punch towards the finish line. They'll come around turn 4 and collect the checkered flag. Nice job for Jimmy Gilster. Rounding up the finishing order, Nick Clements did take second. Brian Hesselberg, a very strong third. Steve Bachman fourth, and Dr. Noise Billy Martin rounds out the top 5. To the Thunder stocks we go, and tire cut down caused some problems for one of our eventual, could have been the eventual winner. That would have been Andy Moore. He cut a tire down. He had to bow out of the race. And that left things open for a battle between Kayla Lockington and Kyle Lockington and Charles Vian. Well, Vian finally gets through with 2 laps to go, and he's going to take that El Camino into victory lane. Doing a nice job of that as well. I like the style of that car, and I think that we're going to see him in victory lanes more than once during this race season. Kyle Lockington had a very strong second-place finish. I think that might have been one of his best finishes in the Thunder stocks. And Jacinda Paff, first place week number 1, third place week number 2. Could the number 13 be on her way to bigger and better things in the Thunder stocks? To the Hornets we go. Almost 30 cars came out, a lot of bumping and banging, a lot of new drivers, some veteran drivers, and everybody wanting to get a race win. And when it came down to it, it was almost a pair of pink cars battling each other. The Pepto-Bismol machine of Jeff Thompson in the 03. It's a new Hornet for him this year as he's running both that and a Sportsman. Did what he could to hold on to the one here as you see the one to go. Patrick Tickey in the hunt. There's Brandon Lemoyne in the hunt. Hunter Miller was in the hunt. I mean, this was a really good race with about 5 laps remaining. Jeff Thompson, a veteran Hornet driver, knew what he had to do in the action track quarter mile, and he nails down the big win. Brandon Lemoyne, a very solid second-place finish there on Saturday night, and a Tickey, who won the very first night, has a top 3. So, again, this Hornet class is going to be a mixture of 10 to 12 drivers all in points contention as the season winds down. Talking about the Tickeys, Garrett Tickey and Jason Lindvig, they took home the novelty races of the night. That was the second over the line. Saturday, the 23rd, coming up this weekend, a very famous night at the Speedway. It's Buck Night. All concession items are just a thin $1. All beer items are just $2. Very affordable to bring the whole family out or maybe a whole group of your friends and save some money getting in the concession stand once you're inside the track. A lot of racing coming up Saturday, too. We've got late model, sportsman's, thunder stocks, the street stocks. That's the new 6-cylinder class in its second year. And the Outlaws are going to be back. We have a tag team race, usually between the thunder stocks and kids. We hope you had a chance to get those box cars ready. Just a cardboard box, cut a couple of arm slits in it, place to put your head, paint it up to how your favorite driver looks, maybe at La Crosse Speedway, some even to the NASCAR ranks. Bring them out early. You're going to be racing on the Action Track Quarter Mile. Speaking of the 6-cylinder street stocks, our guest in the studio today is really taking this thing serious. He didn't get a chance to do it much last year, if at all, but from what I've seen so far, he's really going to take this class awfully serious, and, well, someone's got to, as John Aaron looks to put his clamps back down on another successful 2015 season. That and a whole lot more. We're just getting started right here on Seven Rivers Racing.
Get ready for the Thunder!
The Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Your Friday night racing destination.
Every Friday night.
Super stocks, modified.
600 mods.
Pure stocks, street stocks, B-mods.
It's racing excitement, dirt track style. Tickets $12 for adults, $10 for seniors. Students free with an ID. And this year, kids 17 and under free with an adult admission. Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder!
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
Some of the best moments in life happen at home. American Standard Heating and Air works smarter to make them all more comfortable.
Over $400 in rebates available on select American Standard systems. Call Carey Heating and Air Conditioning today for a free estimate.
Welcome back, Seven Rivers Racing, KQEG TV. I'm Dan Dykert. Thanks for spending some of your time watching the best and only area racing coverage that you're going to find in western Wisconsin, both at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway and up at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Coming up in the program, we're going to have a racing recap of what happened last Friday night on the dirt, and we're going to bring in another guest, Fletcher Milene, one of our Hornet drivers who had a bad flip this past weekend. He'll join us on the program. Last year, the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway instituted a new class. It's the street stocks. It's a 6-cylinder class. And if you could think about a lot of the Pontiac Grand Prix have that 6-cylinder. Matter of fact, I still got one in my driveway that I'm going to try to get out there this year. That's the new class. It really picked up well last year. I think we topped almost 15 to 16 cars. That is a class that's very affordable, and every junkyard has a 6-cylinder. Everyone's selling those. Well, one of the drivers that told me during the wintertime he was going to get out of the Hornet class and get into that 6-cylinder class is going to join us on the program today from the Action Track Quarter Mile. Back to the Action Track and a little bit of a faster car. We'd like to welcome in Bill Bentzen. Bill, how are you, buddy?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Doing fantastic. You know, before we talk, really get into the 6 cylinders, I want to thank you and the wife for the help that you gave Matt Henderson and the entire community this year as we helped make another Christmas surprise come true.
Well, you're very welcome. We do plan on doing it again this year. Hopefully it's bigger and better. I mean, you know, we like to help out. You know, we've been there and we know what it's like to not have stuff.
Right.
The kids are important, so, you know, and that little guy, I've never seen a smile that big.
6-year-old Aiden, who it was this year that hopped in Matt Henderson's late model, and the smile in the eyes that he had were just simply outstanding. So again, we'd like to thank you and your wife for helping us out this year. Talk about the 6-cylinder class. Was I right? Is this an affordable, easy class to get into?
Yes and no. A lot of, you know, I noticed a lot of the guys are not running roll cages. It's an option that you can run. When I first started out the Hornets, I did the same thing, and honestly, I thought it was kind of stupid not to. So the cages are pretty affordable. You can get a decent one for, you know, about $100 or so. And it is, you know, so far it hasn't been too bad. It's comparable to a Hornet. Some of the guys have a little more into them, some, you know, a little less.
Sure.
It all depends on what you want to put into it, what kind of safety equipment you want to put into it. You know, paint, vinyl, stuff like that. You know,
right.
it all adds up, but, you know, you get some good sponsors and you can make it pretty affordable.
And you know, it's just the Thunderstock type class, the old Cutlass Supremes and the old Monte Carlo bodies are just, you can't find those anymore. And if you can, you have a hard time finding the parts. When you look at a six-cylinder car like the Grand Prix and some of the Dodge cars that are out there, they're all over the place.
Yep, they are. I actually found mine from a friend of mine. She was having problems with a wheel bearing on it, and she sold it to me for $300. And, you know, I figured, well, I could either fix it or I could sell it, you know, and fix it and sell it, or turn it into a, you know, a street stock. And that was part of the reason I bought it, was I really wanted to get back in. Last year I couldn't really, we had some bad problems. We did buy a Hornet, and it ended up being, just fell apart on us while we were trying to straighten it out. And we just couldn't afford to do it last year, so we sat out, watched, you know, I watched the V6s intently, just because I wanted to see what they were going to do, and I was mighty impressed.
On this car, I mean, this is going to be, from what I've seen so far, one of the nicest six-cylinder stock cars that's out there.
I hope so. I really do. It'd be nice to, you know, I'm not doing it for to be nice, but you know, it'd be nice to win something out of it, but I'm doing it more for, you know, what the theme is, and that's for the veterans.
And obviously you can tell by your shirt that that's the big theme you have this year is, if you can't see the patriotic red, white, and blue, then you're awfully blind.
Yeah, if you miss this car going around the track, you're blind. If you miss my pits, you're blind, because I'm going to have a giant flag sitting, you know, alongside my truck, or, you know, off of my truck. I invite all the vets down to my pits after the races every night that I race. I would like everybody to sign, you know, anybody that was in the military, is in the military, or has a loved one that passed away that was in the military. I would like them to come down and sign the car with their rank, the branch that they were in, and whether or not they were in a war. Anywhere on the car, I will have paint markers down there for them. It'd be real. It'd be honorable for me. You know, I'd be honored for it.
That have helped you out here here in 2015 to get you where you are back to on that quarter-mile track.
Well, like you said, Dan, I would not. I couldn't do this without all my sponsors. So the first one is Hilltopper Refuse and Recycling, Track 2, B&B Graphics, ATV for Vets. That's a nonprofit for veterans. Fat Boys Barbecue, and All Out Repair, and of course a big thank you to Kim Eckelberg with Speedy Graphics for doing this awesome job on my car for all the vinyl.
And we're not going to show you. I was going to have you give me a picture of the car, and we were going to put it up on the TV. But no, we're going to tease you, and you've got to get to the Speedway Saturday night to see this car up close and personal, because from what I've seen so far, pictures are going to do it no justice. You've got to see it live and personal, whether it's on the track or in the pits. And of course, we'd encourage you to head on down. This is a six-cylinder class, could be the racing of the future for a class of the La Crosse Speedway. We'd like to see, you know, 15, 16 to 20 cars get out there. And of course, Bill Bentzen and John Aaron are two of the biggest representatives out there for the six-cylinder class. So we'd encourage you folks, if you want more information on what it takes to get it from a street legal to a stock car type six-cylinder car, to do that at the racetrack. We appreciate you coming in, Bill. Best of luck to you, and I can't wait to see you back on the track again.
I can't wait to get back out there. Remember, folks, it is Buck Night, Memorial Weekend. Come down to the pits, get out there, watch the races. It's a cheap Saturday night.
And it's a good Saturday night full of entertainment. Bill and his children and his family are all going to be there. And Bill loves to sign autographs, too. So make sure you get down there, kids, and they get a chance to get a picture next to Bill in his car. And make sure you get his John Hancock on whatever it is you bring down. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of dirt racing, our Mississippi Thunder recap segment. And we're going to talk more with Hornet driver Fletcher Milene. That and a lot more coming up next on 7 Rivers Racing.
Get ready for the Thunder!
The Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Your Friday night racing destination.
Every Friday night.
Super stocks, modifieds,
600 mods.
pure stocks, street stocks, B-mods.
It's racing excitement, dirt track style. Tickets $12 for adults, $10 for seniors. Students free with an ID. And this year, kids 17 and under free with an adult admission. Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder!
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
Some of the best moments in life happen at home. American Standard Heating and Air works smarter to make them all more comfortable.
Over $400 in rebates available on select American Standard systems. Call Carey Heating and Air Conditioning today for a free estimate.
Welcome back, 7 Rivers Racing, KQAG TV. I'm Dan Diker. This portion of the program is your Mississippi Thunder Speedway race recap. We've got video from all 7 features from this past Friday night's races and encourage you to head down there next Friday night as well. Racing gets underway at 6 o'clock on the small track, 7 o'clock on the big track. Let's go to the USRA modified feature event on the 3rd mile at Mississippi Thunder Speedway in Fountain City. And on a night that we thought the Joker Joe Alberts was going to run away with this thing and Bob Tim was trying to get back-to-back feature wins, here comes a man from the number 7th starting position in the feature, and that would be the awfully fast, flat black number 24 of Brad Waits. It took him about 8 or 9 laps to finally wheel his way through some of these hard-charging race cars like Bob Tim's that you see right there, and a cool hand Lucas shot. Well, I'll tell you what, we've seen this many times up at the MTS Speedway that once it gets going with that gentleman right there, Brad Waits, it just doesn't stop. And this is going to be an awfully entertaining race season with Brad Waits running in fine form like that. Looking at the end of things, Bob Tim did end up taking second in the race as we had a caution they were running through right here. And Cool Hand Lucas shot to finish 3rd in the race. It's Lucas Hofer being pulled away. There's Brad down in the winner's circle. Let's go to the USRA B mods. This was probably the only race of the night where someone just said, hey, I'm not going to deal with the field. I'm taking off. I'm going to win this thing. Let's go to the video and show you the number 23K of Eric Cans. What a fantastic run he had. This is the 3rd night now where we have had a car count of either 30 or more with the USRA B mods. Cans had such a fantastic run. He's going to catch the back of the field here towards the end of this one. And he had some good competition as well. A lot of the racing was happening from 2nd and 3rd place. There were 4 or 5 cars battling between 4th and 8th place. And then you had about 3 or 4 that were battling to stay inside the top 10. As you see Eric Cans getting the white flag. Flying Ryan Olson put on a stout charge towards the end of this one. Just couldn't get it done, though. And Eric Cans, former track champion, starting 2015 off in style. So Eric Cans down in the winner's circle. Let's go to the super stocks. This is one of my favorite classes because of the old style bodies and the long slanted noses that they have. And the super stocks, well, there's a man that's got back-to-back-to-back track champions, chips, I should say. That's the 7R of Tommy Richards. Now, it took him a while to get through this race as Troy Langowski in the double A car was trying to hold on for a feature win. First he'd had in a while in the big 3rd mile. But you see Tommy Richards, who came oh so close last weekend, give him another couple laps, and he may have had himself a win. He definitely got it done this weekend, but you got to tip your hat to Troy Langowski. What a job he did in racing past the 88 and getting up towards the front with a late race pass and the checkered flags. And Richards Racing, I think there's 3 of them total. You should see they had 15, 16, 25 wins last year. These guys are phenomenal when it comes to racing on dirt. To the 600 mods we go. After coming up dry in 2014, 2012 track champion Greg Wollitz put together his 2nd feature win in a row in the 600 mods at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. 17 was the car count. Now these are 600 modified motorcycle engines in these little cars. Top speed this weekend between 84, 85, 86 mile an hour, depending upon what car that you had out there. But Greg Wollitz, what a great job he did. Kurt Kramer tried to get his very first feature race win. He races on and takes 2nd. 3rd place was Mike James, who also had a nice finish, as did the K9 of John Griffin. To the late model class we go. Now this is a new class at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. 3 weeks in, we're getting additional cars every weekend. Now the drivers are seeing how the setups are and how things are supposed to work in that class. Last weekend, it was Lance Hofer after missing his setup on night number 1. The late model class on night number 3. Well, this one's going to belong to Justin Sass. Justin got a lot of late model challenges in this race here, as there were always 5 cars within about 10 laps or 10 paces of each other throughout this entire race. And the thing with Sass and the USRA Limited late models, He's used to running late models on dirt. Saw that MTS was going to do this year. Well, you can see exactly what he's doing right here as Kurt Lumen, Tommy Brink, and Coney Gardner were all put right behind him. The sportsman came out again, and in style, this was a good race here. Steve Dwyer and Derek Sutton. If we have time, we'll try to show the video here. Sutton runs a grocery getter. He's got a station wagon. Steve Dwyer in a typical sportsman-type body, a Monte Carlo-type body. A lot of bumping and banging, and fenders were hitting each other, letting each other know where they were on the racetrack. And after about 3 minutes to go, you see Dwyer finally found himself a way around the grocery getter of Derek Sutton and got himself a race win, and he finished just in front of Jordan Becker. Becker did cruise into second place in that Woody Woodpecker machine, and the spirited battle for second became down to Becker and Sutton at the line. And those guys had a fantastic race. I really like watching these sportsmen get it on up there. Looking at the Hornet features, had a lot of cars for the Hornets this weekend after Fletcher Milene ended up tipping over down the front straightaway. The race got back underway, and Jeremy Johnson, Johnny Sievertson, and Carol Hundorf. 3 cars were pretty much locked together through the entire race feature. Sievertson is one of those guys to watch. Sean's V is another one you're going to be able to watch this year as you see this battle come around. And Sievertson again had some problems 2 weeks ago. No problems this weekend. And Sievertson and Johnson put on a great 3-way battle out front. Johnson held off Sievertson for the race win. Did get a huge heat race win early in the night. Svi and Carol Hundorf ended up rounding out the top 4. And I'd love to see that car come back again because those turbos do a great job on getting it done at MTS. Racing Friday nights at 6, big tracks at 7. Check out MississippiThunder.com for more information. Coming up next, we're going to talk to the driver that did flip over, Fletcher Milene. He's next on 7 Rivers Racing.
Get ready for the Thunder!
The Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Your Friday night racing destination.
Every Friday night.
Super stocks, modifieds,
600 mods.
pure stocks, street stocks, B-mods.
It's racing excitement, dirt track style. Tickets $12 for adults, $10 for seniors. Students free with an ID. And this year, kids 17 and under free with an adult admission. Friday night racing starts at 7.
Bring on the Thunder!
Dirt track style at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway.
Highway 35 just north of Fountain City.
Some of the best moments in life happen at home. American Standard Heating and Air works smarter to make them all more comfortable.
Over $400 in rebates available on select American Standard systems. Call Carey Heating and Air Conditioning today for a free estimate.
Welcome back to 7 Rivers Racing. I'm Dan Dyker along with Rob Butterfield. Earlier this year, as you've seen on the program, we had a big showing at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway car show at Sugarloaf Ford in Winona. And one of the drivers that's really taken to this dirt track racing, spent many years running on asphalt at some different tracks, watched him come out, run a Hornet car last year part-time, and he's really gotten into this gig to go full-time here at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway this year, and that would be my buddy Fletcher Milene. Fletch, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good.
Good to see you again.
Good to be here.
So you and I talked, as a matter of fact, I got to go back to last year. I did a part-time driving deal, had never been behind the wheel of any kind of a race car. My very first race, Fletcher forces me 3 wide between turns 1 and 2. Nobody ever prepared me for what to do during a 3 wide, so I want to thank you for introducing me to dirt track racing, number 1.
Welcome to Mississippi Thunder Speedway, Dan.
So this year, full season, every single Friday night, and you got to be one of the most die-hard Hornet guys the entire winter. You were working on that car back in January.
It started since October up till now, and still working and trying to get everything I can get and be best prepared I can be and give them all I got.
I was telling Robert about you. I'm like, you want to talk about dedicated drivers, whether you're a late model driver or a Hornet driver, you're all race car drivers. There is no differential on what kind of car you're working on. And it really surprised me is how you were really getting into your car to get back out this year.
As aspects as far as engine, handling, looks to represent myself better, just every little thing that goes into it, preparing a car, and what it takes to be out there. It's not just jumping in, driving it.
So we ran 4 times last year. Did you get enough experience on that 3rd mile track to be able to go full time this year?
Oh, I believe so. I mean, always learning the car. I just got the car a year ago from Larry Hollett's number 50. Took 4th in the points there, so still learning the car and going through the changes during the off season and then using the practice to try to gain on it. Ask other drivers, car owners to gain knowledge of what you're doing, or if you don't know, always ask questions of people like me. And if I don't know, we'll steer you in the right direction to help you out and get started in this entry-level division. Good for your friends, family, anybody to get involved in to get started at inexpensive cost. And we can also show you ways for it to be inexpensive and do more things with less, with less money and many different ways of doing it.
Now, when you bought the car, you said that it finished 4th in the points before, so you know there's a measure of success there. When you bought the car, did it come with a black book? I mean, did the guy share what he was doing with it? Did he leave a lot of the same parts in there, or were there a lot of changes?
He left the same parts in there. I took 4th in points last year with the race car.
Okay.
From Larry Hollett's, he's been doing it for years and years, and pretty good baseline on where to start with the car, and got quite a bit of knowledge and learn off that and build onto it and learn the car and how I drive it and how I want it to drive, so it really becomes your own bond between the man and the machine.
Now this year you're going to be a part of, rumor has, 35 to 40 cars. I mean, we're talking even maybe a B main right here.
That's awesome.
For a guy like you, and I've known you for quite a while now, that's got to really excite you to be a part of a huge pack of race cars.
Right. Well, running asphalt, lacrosse Speedway, and B mains, and typically at lacrosse, I run a lot different, there than on dirt, and I've only made the B main, gotten through there one time, and hopefully got the car to the point where hopefully we don't have to worry about running in the B mains and know what I got to do to keep the car out of trouble and do all the right decisions behind the wheel, and hope we don't have to go through that. But if we do, it's the same as usual. Just got to go out there and do the best you can with what you got and hope it ends out.
Now you went out on practice this week with several other drivers. Was it different from last year? I mean, obviously you learned a lot of stuff last year that you can put into a different package.
I mean, I didn't really feel a whole lot different from last year as far as with track being tacky or starting to get halfway to being dry slick. Not really a whole lot of difference there, but I was starting to get a little bit dug up throughout practice and feel more ruts in there, and which you also gain some information from, because you learn how to drive with those bumps and go around bumps and start changing your lines to figure out where your car needs to be, and you got to be able to pass high and low. And with practice with less cars, it kind of gets you more comfortable running different lines, because you got to be able to pass everywhere. You can't just run one line, because one time or another, cars are always going to be in your way, and you got to go around them, not through them.
Well, I'll tell you, the number 21 Hornet out here at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway is going to be one to watch last year. I had a great time rubbing fenders with him, rubbed fenders with my son last year, and this man learned quite a bit, and I tell you, he's going to be one of those guys to watch as we get 35 to 40 Hornets on the dirt track this year at MTS. Fletcher, I want to thank you for joining us in the program. Good luck to you this year.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.